Well, good morning, everyone. Just stalling here for a second to get started. This is Alex Buckelhide. We're going to go ahead and get the YouTube feed started and make sure that everything's working out. We're pleased to start Professional Development Day, and I'll kick things off by turning it over to Mackenzie Rivera. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Mackenzie Rivera, and I'm the president of Associated Students for
We're live. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Just stalling here for a second to get started. This is Alex Buckelhide. We're going to go ahead and get the YouTube feed started.
I am pleased to welcome you all here today to Fall Professional Development Day. Before we proceed further, I would like to recognize that we are conducting business on the native land of the Hahamanga tribe of the Tongva Nation. This land acknowledgement is a small part of an ongoing process of working to be in good relationship with the land and embodying equity in practice as well as theory. I'd like to offer a moment of silence for those who came before us. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ernesto Partida, and I speak to you all as the current classified president. Wherever you may find yourself today, I hope you are safe and healthy. These last couple of months have been challenging for all of us. Our entire PCC community has learned and is still learning to adapt to our new normal. For some of us, that means learning how to create new at-home offices. For others of us, that means learning how to be virtual K through 12 teachers. For all of us, it has meant constantly adapting to keep our college going. Despite being in a pandemic and in unprecedented times, we're also in a time that I view as a unique opportunity, an opportunity to work together and create change throughout our campus. Speaking in particular to and for my classified colleagues, we need to address racial inequities that have hurt our campus community. Our PD theme for today incorporates the words, "not a passive exercise." This resonated with me, as I'm sure it did with others. Our campus strives to work towards equitable practices, placing equity in front of everything we do. However, we must do more. It is not enough to simply agree and identify with this message. We must participate, we must learn, and we must act. Alongside our colleagues throughout our PCC community, we can work together to dismantle the institutional barriers and turn passivity into action. Recently, I was able to hear scholar Dr. Ibram Kendi speak, where he was asked, what can we as professionals in higher education do in our daily roles to address these institutional barriers? Dr. Kendi said, recognize and help others see their ability to resist. What does that mean? In short, it means to question how the work you are doing is impacting our campus and playing a role in institutional barriers. Is the current practice of doing one of your everyday tasks contributing to a system of advantage? What can you do in your role to change said practice? I will leave you all with one last request. Get involved throughout our campus community. Serve on committees. Seek professional development activities to share with others. Learn about how our campus makes decisions through our shared governance model. I hope today is full of healthy dialogues and learning that will support you in further stepping into these roles. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Matt Hennis, president of the Academic Senate. Late in spring, we heard several voices from our campus community, and what they said was that they were hurting, that they had been hurting. It was the beginning of a conversation that was interrupted because of summer break. Part of the work the Academic Senate will do this year is to continue that conversation. Black Lives Matter is not simply a slogan. It's a statement people have made because of a history of treatment of Black people that has told them that they don't matter. We need to make clear that they do. I hope we can agree that Black Lives Matter, but it's not just a problem that we can slap a sticker on and make it go away. It's going to take work on our part. This effort is not to say that we care only about one group. By making sure that our most underserved students have their needs met, we increase the likelihood of success for all students. What we face is an obligation and an opportunity to continue our focus on equity, diversity, and inclusion. And while our goal may not be different than what it's been, it has become clear that our methods must be. We have done amazing things, converting our entire curriculum to a remote format. You are all to be commended for the work that you've done. This experience tells me that we are capable of great change. My hope for this year is that we will channel that same kind of energy and find new ways to challenge our own status quo. And from what I've seen, I know you can do it. With that, I'll hand it off to the president of the Management Association, Tito Altamirano.
Thank you, Dr. Hennis. Excellent. Hi. Good morning, everyone. So since March, so much has changed, yet our students' goals have not. They come to PCC to get an education that will better their lives and the lives of those closest to them. Managers are responsible in all areas throughout the college for coordinating the teams that make this happen. We will need to bring our passion and expertise to online classes and services, and through that commitment, our students will in turn bring their enthusiasm, curiosity, and dedication. Yet our students will be bringing these gifts with them during global and health economic crisis that have only highlighted the long existing systemic racial inequalities that mark our country. Thus, the theme of today's Professional Development Day, Interrupting Systems of Advantage, not a passive exercise, must be at the heart of what we do. I am here this morning as the president of the Management Association to underscore a message my colleagues across constituent groups are saying in some way, shape, or form. We are the ones responsible. We have a collective responsibility to ensure that our students complete whatever their goal may be. We are responsible for making sure that we are living through this time without planning for the things to get back to normal. Because normal was where racism, xenophobia, and other systems of oppression thrived too. We are responsible for looking at who sits at the decision-making tables around us and ensuring that the people present are representative of our actual community here at the college and in the district, even if it means giving up our own seat in order to make it so. In a similar spirit, I want to note what a privilege it is to share this virtual stage this morning with one of my staff members, or more appropriately, with my colleague, Ernesto Partida, President of the Classified Senate. To my fellow managers, my hope for us in the year ahead is that we do not fear being pushed to think and do things differently. I hope that we instead embrace our responsibility to develop new leadership and empower the people we work with through our authenticity and, yes, even vulnerability. Now, everyone, let us take a few minutes to honor some of the innovation and extraordinary effort that enabled our college's transition to a remote setting and reflects the can-do spirit of this community. Afterwards, our Superintendent President, Dr. Eric Andrew Jonas, will take the virtual floor to share remarks. Thank you.
I have just signed a proclamation declaring the existence of a local emergency.
The potential public health risk is elevated and significant.
It's like the day before Flex Day. All of our plans completely went out the window.
I cannot stress enough to you how fluid this is.
We at Pasadena City College are so proud of our students right now. They are out there on the front lines at Huntington Memorial Hospital being compassionate, being caring, showing support, and just following the PCC nursing way of providing outstanding care.
We came back onto campus very early in March, doing a complete and total cleaning and refurbishing of those areas.
They have been here every day during this pandemic, making sure our buildings are safe, and they have done a phenomenal job.
So this is an extraordinary effort in that we never get this opportunity. So we were able to come in and paint, clean, replace flooring, fix lighting to make the classroom environment a lot more pleasant and appealing.
Information technology worked diligently to try to bridge the digital divide. They quickly set up a technology lending library for devices. Also, on the flip side, worked with our faculty to conduct both synchronous and asynchronous classes.
Our distance education team jumped right in to make sure that all the resources that we had on hand, all the training that we could pull together was made available to our faculty. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of time to develop a really good online course, and our faculty have really stepped up.
We had people who volunteered to go to the Zoom training that was being put on, and then they immediately came back to the division and helped other faculty learn how to use Zoom.
I even had adjunct faculty who stepped up and took on full-time faculty who hadn't taught online before and mentored them and helped them learn how to use Zoom or help them adapt and put their content online.
Our dance teachers moved the furniture in their homes to create home dance studios, teaching courses in their kitchen in some cases. We had our percussion people in our music department bringing pots and pans out of people's kitchens to teach them how to make their own drum kits at home.
So Jeremy, you want to get started?
Our TV production classes began to do virtual productions, just like every channel you see is doing. So our students are learning not just how to complete their course content, but they're actually learning the skills they will need to survive in this new economy, which will be increasingly online.
One of the things that stands out the most is the extraordinary effort around increasing enrollment. They have worked over summer to create a number of Zoom sessions to provide information about each program in the non-credit division.
JAM, which is our summer orientation. And we just were slammed by this idea of going online because we're so used to being face-to-face. And so we had to create all these materials that help students think about goal setting, help them think about motivation, self-efficacy, and put it in an online format that was creative and colorful and fun.
They did some really fun creative things with Zoom backgrounds to match the countries that they were studying, right? The different languages.
Where we brought in about 10 professional creative writers to speak to students on various days. These were poets, these were short story writers. We were able to bring in the Borders of Diversity speaker.
How do I live in a world if I cannot secure my existence?
The speaker was Dr. Calvin Warren, who is a noted theorist on Afro-pessimism. And that was really timely because it came after the George Floyd protests.
The ways we continue to engage students was primarily through social media platforms, and that was through Cross Cultural Center, primarily on Instagram and Facebook, using Instagram and Facebook Live for programming. Associated students really wanted to make sure students understood the many emails they were getting and the information they were getting. Their meetings were virtual, and they instituted the town hall meetings to address the concerns of students.
As long as we're actively participating and representing the students, not just ourselves, I think that's successful.
One of the really neat things that happened in the spring was an online Zoom style award ceremony. The most exciting thing about it was that there were more faculty and staff than there were students present.
Our PCC coaching staff held a virtual 5K this past spring semester, and it was a fundraising effort for our student athletes.
Our hashtag PCC virtual 5K.
What we're really excited is the Harvard Leadership Academy that was launched in spring. And this is just a great way for our students to receive a Harvard mentor. They're able to network. They're able to get support with their admission application by experts from the college.
You know, the resources and the information the students can use and have used with their partner, with their family, with their children.
So I think, you know, when students know that they're cared about, they're more willing to put in the hard work to be successful.
Well, good morning, everyone. I was going to start my speech with wow for my speech, but I'm going to start my speech with wow for that video and everything that it demonstrated and what's happened. From what I understand, there are lots of cheers happening on our YouTube, the folks watching on YouTube, thank you. And thank you to everyone. Really high fives and props for that video and all the work behind it, everything that's described. I think you'll find some common themes in my speech. And so here we go. So wow, it's hard to believe that the last time I spoke to the campus was over 5 months ago on March 12th. At that point, we thought we were closing to in-person instruction and services for 2 weeks or a month, or maybe until after spring break. But no one could have predicted that our Fall Flex Professional Development Day would be virtual. That said, I can't tell you how impressed I am that Pasadena City College embraced Semper Gumby, always flexible, and made it work. Instruction transitioned to remote and online, not without hiccups, but we did it. Student services, as you saw in the video, transitioned to online, and you all figured out how to deliver mental health and food and emergency help and a variety of support in so many creative ways. IT, as you also saw, delivered big time on laptops, Wi-Fi, innovative ways to deliver software, and general tech support to get even the most squeamish of us up and running. As you saw, our custodial and maintenance and operations staff dedicated themselves to sanitizing and fixing up the campus, which ironically was easier without having to work around class schedules. No one could have predicted on March 12th that our summer would be 100% online, nor that fall would be mostly online with the exception of a few disciplines. But here we are. And we know no more now about how we will go into winter or spring 2021 than we knew back in March. And then with a pandemic raging and our economy basically shut down, the murder of George Floyd and the social unrest that followed awakened and inspired us to the historical imperative to rethink how we operate in good times and bad, face-to-face or online, and in terms of how we treat our students, our staff, our faculty, and our community. And I'm not talking about simply needing a little more professional development. Mr. Floyd's violent death, one in a long line of similar murders, demands that we be part of the social justice solution going forward. It demands that we, as a college, re-examine not just how we support our students, but how the structure of the college is currently designed specifically not to support our Black and African American students, staff, and faculty. It demands that we not simply root out our racist elements of the institution. It means that we need to transform to an anti-racist college with an anti-racist culture. And this is not easy work. It requires intent and it requires action, not words, which is why I love our theme today of interrupting systems of advantage, not a passive exercise. Over the past 2.5 months, we've started this work, but we're only at the very beginning. And you can find what I'm about to describe on the Black Lives Matter page on the PCC website. The Chancellor's Office issued a call to action that implores colleges to delve into curriculum, class, climate, college climate, and hiring practices, just to name a few areas, to root out structural racism. We are in the process of putting together cross-functional teams to work on each of these calls to action because this must be college-wide work. In other words, no area of this college owns the work to create a welcoming environment that is anti-racist and free of discrimination. We are all responsible to make PCC a better place. I've started the search for a Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, a cabinet level executive to work with me and with the college on this transformation. This position will enhance the work that's already being done. We joined the USC Center for Race Equity Alliance, which will provide 12 professional development opportunities each year over the next 5 years. And we will be able to send 5 people, not necessarily the same, to each of these 12 trainings per year. These trainings will include a train the trainer option that will mean that what is learned there will be shared campus-wide. I also issued an executive order removing the use of the carotid or the chokehold from our campus police general orders manual. And a broad group of campus constituents will be reviewing this manual over the next 2 months to ensure that our campus police department is free of racist and discriminatory practices. We also started a manager's book club to promote deep dialogue and consideration as to look deeply into our own biases and how to rid our institution of structural racism and anti-Black messaging. And I expect that other employee groups will follow. The book selections are also on the PCC Black Lives Matter page too. Along with, on that same page, a phenomenal anti-racism resource guide that I have to tell you, presidents at other colleges are quite interested in replicating at their colleges. So I've just offered a few examples, but many other activities are already underway thanks to the amazing and dedicated staff and faculty across the campus. This work requires me to lead change, to demand change, but most important for me to change myself. This work requires humility and the ability to listen to feedback and other perspectives, and then to do something with that information. And so today I stand before you ready to start that process by taking you back to last year's Flex Day, where I laid out my goals for the year using a mnemonic device of AMP, spelled A-M-P-E. And specifically, my vision and goal of PCC becoming the first community college in California to meet the state chancellor's Vision for Success goal to close 100% of equity achievement gaps. I refer to this as the silent E, arguing that the E for equity should be silent because we needed to reach a point as an institution where every single student who walks through our door graduates. Where addressing gaps is so part of the fabric of our college, we no longer needed to call out our equity efforts. The initial response to the silent E appeared to be positive, or so I thought. A couple of months later, a brave member of the management team told me that actually my silent E message had failed miserably. In fact, many people had understood the silent E as I explained it to mean that I didn't care and that I wanted equity to be invisible. And you know what? They were right. Upon reflection, I saw how what I said could be interpreted that way. And upon reflection, I see that my white privilege is what blinded me to how the silent E was received. Absolutely. So recently, another voice spoke to me about another reason that the silent E was an ineffective and negative way to talk about wanting all students to be successful. In his book, How to Be an Anti-Racist, Dr. Ibram Kendi argues against using the words academic achievement gap at all. He says, and I quote, "We degrade Black minds every time we speak of an academic achievement gap. The acceptance of an academic achievement gap is just the latest method of reinforcing the old racist idea of Black intellectual inferiority. The idea of an achievement gap means that there is a disparity in academic performance between groups of students. And implicit in this idea is that academic achievement, as measured by statistical instruments like test scores and dropout rates, is the only form of academic achievement that matters. The idea of an achievement gap between the races, with whites and Asians at the top and Blacks and Latinx at the bottom, creates a racial hierarchy, with its implication that the racial gap in test scores or academic performance means there is something wrong with Black and Latinx test takers, and not the tests or the curriculum. He ends by saying, quote, "I know this is a hard idea to accept. So many well-meaning people have tried to solve the problem of the racial achievement gap. But once we understand the history and the policies behind it, it becomes clear." So while he was focused on standardized tests, the structure of academic programs in individual courses will reveal the same biases. So what does this mean? It means that this year, I'm going to do a lot of reading. I'm going to engage in a lot of dialogue. I'm going to avail myself of professional development opportunities, and I'm going to be purposeful, intentional, and active, not passive. What does this mean in terms of action? For one, starting today, I'm going to dedicate myself to work with the campus to reimagine and reframe how we talk about closing 100% of equity achievement gaps. We need new language to describe how our goal is to have 100% of our students graduate from this college. We need new language to describe how our goal is to have 100% of our students transfer to a four-year institution or get a livable wage job in their chosen field. In other words, we need a new anti-racist vocabulary that talks about the goal of success, not the barrier of the gap. Before we can choose the right words, though, we need to examine how our existing institutional structure is grounded on the equity achievement gap assumptions and how these assumptions are most likely hampering our ability to truly serve all of our students. So I look forward to the rest of our opening session today because it is clear that we need to take an active approach to interrupting systems of advantage at PCC. And by doing this, we may just find the right word or words to describe our 100% student success goal without using the E word. So with that, I am going to now hand the floor over to Dr. Nick Hatch, Dr. Micaela Maris Tamayo, and soon to be Dr. Carrie Afuso.
Thank you, Dr. Andrew-Jonas. Good morning. My name is Nicholas Hatch, and I have taught at PCC since 2014 as both an adjunct and a full-time member of the faculty in the Division of Kinesiology, Health, and Athletics. I'm also privileged to work with Jason in the Office of Professional Development as the Flex Calendar Program Coordinator.
Good morning. Hello. My name is Carrie Afuso, and I'm the Student Life Advisor with the Office of Student Life. I'm also the founding coordinator for the Cross Cultural Center and currently a member of the Safe Zones Coalition.
Good morning. My name is Micaela Maris Tamayo, and I am the daughter of two PCC alumni and a lifelong resident of Pasadena. I serve as the Director of Student Equity and a member of the Flex Advisory Committee.
We are here as your peers to share some thoughts that we hope will help bridge the energies and commitment that electrified our college at the end of the spring to and through the year ahead. We open today's program honoring the resilience of our campus community in the wake of a worldwide pandemic. The adaptation, innovation, and commitment of our faculty, staff, and managers, and the determination of our students to forge ahead in uncertain times are achievements worthy of celebration. These achievements are overshadowed, though, by the injustices of systemic anti-Black racism within and beyond our PCC community. As one thinks about this dual reality, with innovation and commitment on one hand and systemic racism on the other, the following question inevitably emerges. How can our PCC community ever fully leverage the innovation and commitment of its members and realize our goal of truly becoming an equity-minded learning community when we allow anti-Black racism to continue? We cannot fulfill the college's mission while maintaining the status quo. In order to become the college we aspire to be in our mission statement and the college our students deserve, we must focus our immediate attention on interrupting systems of advantage, particularly anti-Black racism. We offer today's program as a starting point for this urgent work in the year ahead.
We want to be clear that the urgency of today is due to a legacy of struggle by our Black and African American students and colleagues. The most recent chapter in this story was written at the end of the spring semester, after the killings of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd. Dr. Gina Lopez and Professor Armia Walker authored Resolution 20.5, denouncing the killing of unarmed Black and African American citizens due to racial profiling and racist ideologies that promote trauma, and affirming the district's commitment to the health, well-being, inclusion, and progress of Black and African American citizens on campus and in the greater community. The Academic Senate approved the resolution on June 1st, and on June 4th, Ujima and Blackademia facilitated the Our Black Lives Matter listening forum that many of us attended. These events prompted official statements, resolutions, and executive orders from various groups, including the Association of Black Employees, Management Association, Student Health Services, Faculty Association, Association of Latino Employees, Classified Senate, Coalition of Asian Pacific Employees, Personal Counseling, our Superintendent President, the Queer and Undocumented Empowerment Support to Thrive Center, Inscape Magazine, the Community Overcoming Recidivism Through Education Program, PCC Foundation, PACCD Board of Trustees, Robert G. Freeman Center for Career and Completion, and Counseling and Career Services. Every member of our PCC community is represented by at least one of these statements of support. We have all expressed solidarity with our Black and African American students and colleagues, and in doing so, have ultimately committed ourselves to dismantling anti-Black racism. Now it is time for us to bring our actions into alignment with those words. Thus, we offer today's program as even more than a starting point. We offer it as an opportunity to collectively put words into action.
We all understand that anti-Black racism is not new to this nation or this college. I started working at PCC in 1992, right after the LA uprisings that followed the acquittal of officers who beat Rodney King. At that time, Black and African American students were gathering in the quad to process what had been happening in their surrounding communities, largely because there was no other place or space for them to do so. Some at the college viewed these gatherings with fear and even worried that on-campus riots would ensue. I was hired to create the Cross-Cultural Center, a space that would provide students of color a home base on campus, and to some degree, I believe, to get them out of the quad and keep them contained. That was 28 years ago. And while I could write a long list of all the incredible work that has been done to improve the experiences of our Black and African American students, the truth is our world has not changed significantly. Our Black students continue to share testimonies of how unsafe and unwelcomed they feel on our campus. So when I hear folks talking about the current health pandemic and longing for the day when things will get back to normal, I ask that we not go back to normal, because normal meant living in a society where some lives, Black lives, were valued less than others.
Dr. Beverly Daniel Tatum is a scholar and practitioner whose life work has taken up related matters of racial identity and education. She was born in 1954, the year of Brown versus Board of Education. Significant because, as she states, it situates her at a time in history to have a lived experience that has driven her to become a nationally renowned scholar in the field of race relations. Dr. Tatum is the author of Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria? And Other Conversations About Race, originally published in 1997 and recently re-released in 2017 as a 20th anniversary edition. While Dr. Tatum is not joining us in real time this morning, we are fortunate enough to have received permission to show a clip of a conversation with her that occurred as part of the Chicago Humanities Festival in 2018. In the clip we are about to watch, Dr. Tatum discusses the impact of increased visibility of state-sanctioned police brutality and shootings, addresses whether or not a person can be passively anti-racist, and provides a definition for racism that helps us understand how it is dismantled. With credit to our amazing technical team, in case there are any AV issues, I hope that you will do your best to overlook them and focus on Dr. Tatum's words. Let us listen now so that we can more confidently envision the direction we're headed here at PCC.
If we want to dismantle racism, we have to undo systems of advantage. Dr. Tatum's statement that closed our video clip is exactly where we want everyone to focus our attention today. To that end, this PD Day, we have a set of outcomes that are as follows. 1, explore current PCC programs and services that seek to empower and support Black and African American students and other marginalized groups, and identify practices and approaches that are most impactful. 2, reflect on the ways in which our actions at the individual, department, division, and institutional level sustain systems of advantage, particularly anti-Black racism at the college. And 3, articulate actions at the individual, department, division, and institutional level aimed at interrupting systems of advantage, particularly anti-Black racism at the college.
To help us achieve these outcomes, you may notice that we have shaped this PD Day a bit differently than in previous years. We have focused the scope of breakout number 1 to sessions that are directly geared towards these learning outcomes. During breakout number 2, We have asked facilitators to provide space for considering the ways in which their session topic is linked to these broader outcomes. Lastly, during division meetings and the classified session, time will be provided for debriefing and/or action planning. We know that the systems of advantage that enable anti-Black racism will not be dismantled simply because we agreed today that they should be. Taking action at every level is critical to creating an environment where our Black and African American students and colleagues feel not just safe, but empowered to thrive. We have collective responsibility to make this so. Inequitable systems are so ingrained into educational institutions, including our own, that we often do not recognize them for what they are. When we do see our students and colleagues disadvantaged as a matter of practice, it is not uncommon to feel overwhelmed, helpless, or even stuck by the magnitude of inequality and a seeming inability to really correct it. Yet we are here today grounded in the belief that there is so much work that we can and must do. We can conduct equity audits to identify and correct such policies, processes, and practices. We can host data symposia and engage together in ongoing inquiry to illuminate new knowledge and correct the record where most of what we think we know about our Black students is based on what Dr. Ivory Toldson calls bad stats. So too in divisions and departments, everything from the targets of outreach programs to the types of supports available to students, to the recruitment practices for open positions, to strategies we employ to retain faculty, staff, and managers of color are fair game.
The work we are being called to do here today is the work of a lifetime. Interrupting anti-Blackness is not a once and done thing. It's a continual process. And to emphasize the point just made, there are so many things each of us, regardless of our role or how long we've been at the college, can and must do. Change begins from within. So start with your family and community. Educate yourself. Don't expect others to do it for you. Listen to the stories and experiences of people of color with respect. The Anti-Racism Resource Guide supported by ALE, Association of Latino Employees, and TABE, the Association of Black Employees and Allies, and referenced in the Professional Development Day digital program that we all received in an email this morning, is a tool that can challenge you and help you to grow. Set time aside to review it. With the current pandemic, not everyone can march in the street, but all of us can have conversations with our family, our colleagues, and those who lead us. Keep asking the questions. What are some anti-racist actions that I can engage in? How can I get these conversations going or help keep them going at my institution, in my division, in my department, and most importantly, in my own practice? As you enact your own responses to these questions, do so with the knowledge that when we center Black and African American students at our college, we are not erasing the narratives or experiences of other folks. When we dismantle anti-Blackness, we dismantle a system of oppression that hurts us all.
Time and again, we have been reminded of this truth. I was fortunate to attend a dialogue recently between Dr. Ibram Kendi, Dr. Mark Lamont Hill, and Tim Wise, moderated by the African American Male Education Network and Development statewide organization, which I should mention is chartered at PCC under the direction of our counseling faculty members Jamar Walker and Trevor Brackett. When asked about allyship, Tim Wise responded that the same people who would elevate whites above Blacks would elevate the young over the old or the rich over the poor. In other words, the perpetuation of institutions built on the ideals of white supremacy damages us all in one way or another. And though those of us here today who are not people of color may feel shame and guilt and may feel compelled to act out of a sense of moral revulsion, those motivations result in poor allyship. True allyship requires engaging in the work from a place of humility and continual learning and reflection, and embracing the sentiment expressed by Rosemary Brown that until all of us have made it, none of us have made it.
In closing, we would like to express our deep gratitude to the executive members of the Association of Black Employees who graciously shared time, ideas, and feedback that ultimately shaped today's program. You will also notice throughout the day that a bulk of the materials, programming, and statements are rooted in the knowledge of our Black and African American colleagues. We hope that through this opening program, we have modeled how we can lean on the clarion call that they shared with us throughout the end of the spring semester and so many semesters before that, without co-opting it, but rather emphasizing it through a practice of genuine collaboration. Finally, I would like to reiterate Dr. Tatum's statement that thinking about racism as a system of advantage makes clear that if we want to dismantle racism, We have to undo systems of advantage. As you attend the breakout sessions today, I hope that you will consider your power and the ways in which our policies and practices weave together in ways that systematically advantage some students and colleagues and systematically disadvantage other students and colleagues. Be aware too and attuned to the fact that these dialogues and action may be triggers to those who have suffered systemic disadvantage. Hold space for each other's humanity. Please do not be afraid of considering how you yourself may have benefited from such a system. Now more than ever, we are called to let go of that which has only served to reinforce our own privilege or positional power over someone else. Therein lie the intentional actions that will strengthen the community our students and colleagues have called us to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie, Michaela, Nick, Dr. Tatum, and Dr. Keels. And thank you, Erica, Tito, Matt, Ernesto, and Mackenzie. We appreciate your remarks and the care for this community within which your words are clearly wrapped. My name is Jason Robinson, and I am the Director of Professional Development here at PCC, and I'm going to turn to a few logistics to close us out. First, welcome to our first virtual Professional Development Day. The schedule today is in the digital program that was distributed by email this morning. On page 3, there's an overview of the day. We'll have a 15-minute break right now until 10:15. A lunch today will be from 11:45 to 12:45, and there'll be one more 15-minute break at 2:15 to 2:30, and we will finish at 4. The Zoom links for all sessions in which you're registered can be found in a few places, including the calendar invite you received when you first registered for the session, the reminder emails from ProDev Pasadena that you received yesterday, and you can also locate them in your transcript at the Vision Resource Center. Please note that all Zoom sessions today have been set up with a waiting room to ensure we do not have uninvited guests. Please be patient when you arrive to your sessions. It might take a minute before you're admitted into the meeting. While we were unable to facilitate a sign-in sheet for this opening session, all other sessions today will have a digital sign-in process. At some point during the second half of each session, we will be dropping a link into the chat where you can click on that link and it will take you to a Google form where you can enter your name. The process for providing evaluation feedback for sessions that you have attended is also being handled through the Vision Resource Center. These forms can be accessed by visiting your transcript at the Vision Resource Center. In the coming days, you should also receive an email inviting you to complete an evaluation form for each session you attended. And speaking of the Vision Resource Center, I want to officially welcome you all to this new professional learning platform. While the Vision Resource Center has been around for a while, our college became officially integrated with this system in June. So as a result, we now have our own corner of the Vision Resource Center, and we will soon begin communicating with all of you about the various ways in which we will be leveraging this new tool, so stay tuned. With those logistics out of the way, let me close with one small thought of my own. Our speakers this morning have clearly outlined the work that needs to be done. And while it will take more than what we have ever previously mustered, I know one thing to be true. I have faith in the capacity of this community. So let's do the work and let's get started now. With that, I wish you a day of meaningful learning. Thank you.
So I have a question.